Good evening, people. Welcome back to Cruising on Crypto. I am Craig. Well, I know it's been a while since I've done a video. To be quite honest, I got a little sick. Didn't know I had COVID. Just a little cold in my mind. Then my wife got sick, and she got a little sicker. She got tested, and she had COVID. So there's a pretty good chance I also had COVID. And mine was next to nothing. It wasn't even worth mentioning. My wife's was more like just the flu. Nothing earth-shattering, but nonetheless, that kind of knocked us out of commission for a while. Plus, as you know, if you've been watching the crypto market, especially in the DeFi space, the rebase DAOs and whatnot, up until around, the 2nd of February, it was a nasty, nasty market. So not only were we sick, but it really wasn't any fun to come on here and talk about these great investment options, which were obviously not performing very well at all, to say the least. But we'll show a chart in a second. Things have definitely turned around since around the 2nd of February. Things are looking good. I'm starting to get into some tomb forks and some other things, but that is not what we are here to talk about today. As you saw from the thumbnail for this channel, for this episode, you see we're going to be talking about the future of time Wonderland. And in full disclosure, I am an investor. I always have been. I never got out. If you've been under a rock, you may not know this. There was a guy, let me just pull that up here, that everybody knew in the Wonderland community as the treasury manager, called Sifu. That was his screen name. He ended up being found out to be a Michael patron who'd done a bunch of frauds and stuff in the past. It was a huge fiasco because due to some screen grabs of Dani Sesta, who is the founder of Wonderland, he had admitted to some people he'd known the true identity of Sifu for about a month and hadn't told anyone, and all hell broke loose. People were calling for the end of Wonderland and obviously kicking out Sifu, and how dare Daniel not tell us, which I agree with. He admitted his mistake. He pretty much had just given up because I think he thought everybody didn't trust him anymore. There was a vote in Wonderland's governance area, and a lot of whales jumped in there and instantly bid or voted to have Wonderland cease to exist as we know it, just fold it up, pay out everybody from the treasury. And at the time, the coin had gotten hammered so hard, it was well below the backing price. And the whales, I guess I'll call them arbitration whales, arbitration sharks more likely is the right term. They wanted to close it down because they could see they could flip it for a quick profit, buy wMEMO for 20,000, maybe less. And the backing price was, I think, around 36,000, 37,000. So they thought, oh yeah, we'll just vote with our massive money bags of wMEMO to have it closed down. And since it is a decentralized autonomous organization, it's all based on votes, and votes are based on how many coins you own. And I was shocked because we had just talked, Daniel had talked about the synergies of merging with Abracadabra, and Popsicle could follow suit, and Sushi Swap, and all these things that Wonderland is a part of. And it seemed like the synergies were there. It seemed like this would be a great idea. And then the Sifu news came out. And I didn't want it to close. But when I went on to vote, I was like, wow, it's like 70% to close it. I was shocked because I thought Frog Nation was going to be a huge supporter of keeping it open. Well, it was. It was. All the frogs, go in the Discord of Wonderland. All the Frog Nation people were all pretty much unanimously, 95% of the people were saying we have to vote no. It's just the sharks out there, the arb whales, whatever you want to call them, that want this closed because they want a quick flip for some profit. And the Frog Nation rallied. Everybody just voted their tiny amount of time and won the vote. So that was shocking to, I think, even Dani Sesta, because he had pretty much been making Twitter comments about, well, I guess we're going to wind it down. This was a failed experiment and whatnot. And ended up, the vote went to keep it open. And then about a few days ago, they did an AMA where Daniel pretty much just talked about, his mistakes that he made. He owned up to it. I should have told people. He didn't know originally when he founded this, the true identity of Sifu. He seemed to be a great treasury manager. To this day, there's still people that think he was a great treasury manager. And he just had a criminal past that obviously you cannot let somebody who's got a past of fraud and other nefarious stuff, being in charge of the treasury of a multi-million dollar, almost $1 billion treasury. So clearly he needed to step aside. I think in hindsight, this was kind of sprung on Daniel, and he was told he'd have 24 hours to get rid of Saifu quietly and get some new people in there. And then some media people decided to release the story sooner than he had a chance to act on it. Nonetheless, Saifu was voted out. Wonderland was voted to stay. And so it seems like we're going to keep going, and that's great. The AMA Daniel talked about, he talked about the professors. Let me just pull up his Medium article. He talked about the professor's Medium article, which is this guy here. I don't know who he really is, called the professor. I actually tweeted this out the day this guy posted this, because I read this and I was blown away, because this guy pretty much, with a few exceptions, was saying exactly what I was saying to my own Telegram group about what I thought would be the perfect future for Wonderland going forward. And I think this guy might have posted this just after the vote when we found out it was open, but we're going to go through it, only because why reinvent the wheel, right? I have strong feelings on how the synergies would work for a continuing Wonderland, but this guy pretty much wraps it up. So if you want to read it, I'll leave it on the screen as we go, but go to the Medium, type in Wonderland, the Rise and Fall, that's the title. You'll find this article. It's very well written. So long and short, I posted on my Twitter, and I guess a lot of other people posted it to Daniel as well, to say, you got to read this, because this is what we should do in the future. And in the AMA, he actually mentions the professor, and there's actually a vote to see if the professor can be hired as a consultant or a member of the team, and I'm fully for that as well. Now, maybe this guy has a great job and he has no time for this, but he had time to write this Medium article, so let's go through it. So he goes through a little bit of his background. He talks about his history and, fund manager sort of thing, so that's fine. Shows he's got a brain, which is understandable based on the way he writes. You kind of already knew that. But he's pretty much saying right here, people don't see the value, the people who wanted to close it down, don't see the value of the Wonderland ecosystem. He's talking about some of the core things that you just don't see in too many projects. The large and passionate community, that's the Frog Nation I was talking about, with over 500,000 people involved. That's a big number for, cryptocurrencies are still in their infancy, and not too many projects have this number of people that are passionate about a project. Also, it has the largest treasury of any DeFi project anywhere. So, it's pretty big to just fold up shop over one guy having a nefarious background being in charge of the treasury. And to our knowledge, Saifu never stole any money out of the treasury, but his history has caught up to him. Strong brand, Frog Nation, he talks about that. Prior success. So the Dani Sesta and other people in this have, they built up Abracadabra, which is an automated market maker, Popsicle, and Sushi Swap. So there's a bunch of very well-run DeFi projects that are kind of under the same group of people that run Wonderland. And so that's pretty impressive. And that's where we're talking about the synergies of the thought before the Saifu news came out was Daniel was saying, let's merge with Abracadabra. Everything will go under the Spell token, which is the Abracadabra token. The pros of that is that it's already on Binance and Coinbase, which wMEMO or MEMO or Time are not. So he's saying the synergies, to put this into real world context, imagine a group controlling the Bank of America, Goldman Sachs, and the NASDAQ all under one umbrella. So you've got so many different facets that work well together that could show huge profit and huge synergies. In the stock market world, you probably would never be allowed to own all those areas together under one umbrella, but we are in the cryptocurrency world where things can be a little more like the Wild Wild West. If somebody groups together a bunch of businesses under one umbrella, who's to stop them, right? So he's talking about his first suggestion is to scrap the wMEMO coin. I totally agree with this. If you know the history, it used to be Time coin. And when you staked time, you got MEMO. And then he said, for tax purposes, you should wrap MEMO, because not only is it better for tax purposes, because it's like already staked. So therefore you don't need to stake it. It's already staked when it's wrapped. Plus you can move it from Avalanche, where Wonderland is, over to Phantom or to these other sites by being a wrapped coin. So there were so many reasons to do it. But then Daniel came out and said the whole rebase DAO thing just isn't working. We'll get into that in a second, but this 80,000 or 82,000% APY is all marketing, and we can't keep giving out minting new coins like this because it just inflates away the value of the coins. So we're going to just stop doing that. We're no longer a rebase DAO. So he was already talking about that before the whole Saifu thing came out. But he's saying something that I think was already going to happen, especially if we merged with Abracadabra under the spell coin, is they're just scrap this wMEMO. It's too confusing to people. Like he reads in here, people always in these AMAs are like, I don't understand why I need to wrap my memo. Why do I need to wrap it? What's the benefit? It was always being asked. And it makes no sense now to just keep using this weird third tier down time memo, now wrap memo. Just confusing. Start the project with a different coin. So stop wMEMO was his first thing. APY versus revenue share. So Daniel had already talked about this, again, prior to the Saifu news, that he wanted to discontinue this whole rebase DAO, no more minting coins, no more selling bonds at a discount. Let's just turn this into, in essence, a hedge fund with profit sharing. So you own whatever the coin would be, whether it's Spell, whether it's Memo, whether it's something else. You would own it, you would stake it within Wonderland, and then you would be sharing in the profits. So you get rid of this 80,000 APY because it really is just marketing. Let's face it, if you're minting so many coins that you can give 80,000% APY, what happens is the value of the coin goes down while you're getting more coins handed to you. So, it's kind of like you're losing in one pocket while you're gaining in the other. The net effect is you don't really get 80,000%. It is a marketing ploy to get people excited to put money into the project. Now, revenue sharing would be like a dividend, as he says, like you get in stocks. So you own the stock every quarter, in the stock world, you get a dividend payment. This would be much more daily with crypto because everything's on the blockchain. You can tell instantly what the treasury is worth, and they can pay out you. If you just stake it, you can probably get paid out every single day. What the rate of return would be depending on how profitable the treasury is. So bring the APY to 0. Now he's saying that anything in pink, I'm agreeing with completely. Anything in green, I'm disagreeing a little bit. So he's saying instead of the APY of the rebase DAO, now just dedicate, he says 20% of the earnings from the treasury to be paid out to holders. I think 20 is a little on the low side. I think people might be disappointed if that 20% ends up being, 20% or 15%, APY. People might be like, what? So my argument would be it should be higher than 20%. How much higher? I'm not sure. His argument for such a low number is that by only taking 20% out of the treasury to pay the holders, the other 80% gets reinvested, and he just feels that Wonderland can use the money and build the treasury faster than paying it out to people. But my concern is people will look at that really low APY and go, oh, that's disappointing. And people might then sell the Wonderland share and in essence crash the price. So maybe if you gave 30%, keep 70, give 30, or keep 60, give 40. If it's a high dividend paying stock, there's value to that too. You have a lot of retirees, a lot of people who need a monthly income. And if you had a coin in the crypto world that was paying you a good daily, weekly, monthly rate of return, and it's stable because it's so big that the price of the coin's not fluctuating all over the map, there would be a lot of market for that. Oh, and the other thing I don't quite agree with is he's saying the only people who would get this revenue share would be people that have owned the coin for 30 days or more. I don't think you should hamstring yourself like that. So if I come in, I don't get anything for 30 days. I don't get any reward for 30 days. That seems too long. It doesn't seem necessary. Now, he argues his reasons for why, price pressure of people that come in, get rewards for a week and then jump out again. You know what I mean? He's just trying to make it so people that are in for the long haul. I get it. I just think it's kind of punitive to people that are just coming in and for a month they don't make anything. So I don't completely agree with that. And have a maximum supply of tokens circulating to build that price pressure. Yeah, and I totally agree with that. And Daniel was already talking about that. He doesn't want to mint any more coins. And whether it's wMEMO or whatever the new coin is, he's even talking about a percentage of the treasury profits, buying back and burning some coins. So not only would you mint no additional new coins, but you could actually have the number of outstanding coins go down over time, which is something that I would be fully in support of. Management structure. Now, pretty much what he's saying here is Danny's been kind of running the show, especially when the Saifu vote went through and everybody agreed, let's kick him out, but then let's keep Wonderland going. In the AMA, Danny kind of said, for now, I'm taking over all the roles, but you can tell Danny's burned out. Long and short, you can read this on your own, but he talks about all these different areas that there should be specialists involved in. You should have a chief strategy officer, which would be Dani, because he's more like the big picture thinker, but it's not really. He says he's probably ADHD, that he's a big picture thinker, a very intelligent guy, but not really interested in the day-to-day operations and the minutia of what to do. So he's saying he should be this chief strategy officer, but that's all he does. You need a chief operating officer to do the responsible for managing the day-to-day operations. You have a chief financial officer, which is what Saifu used to do, but he's talking about multiple people being involved, multi-sig. One person doesn't make decisions. It's kind of a group, which I agree with. During the transit, I suggest Dani takes over as the interim treasury manager. He's already said that in the AMA. That's what he's doing right now. And Saifu has no control. He's been, punted from the thing. He has no control over the treasury. In fact, the minute this news came out, they took his multi-sig ability to do anything with the treasury away instantly. It's even before he'd been officially voted out of the Wonderland. Bring an investment director for mergers and acquisitions, because as a hedge fund, which is what Wonderland's trying to be in the future, they're talking about buying into brand new crypto projects at the start, right at the beginning. And you kind of need somebody who's a specialist in mergers and acquisitions to do that. And you need a yield farming specialist, because most of the profit that Saifu was getting for the treasury was yield farming, the DeFi degen box, where you're taking the stable coins and looping it like 8 or 10 times so that you can make 100% APY, even though it's only a stable coin. He's just saying you should have a specialist who knows a lot about yield farming and how to get the most out of every dollar you yield farm. Totally agree with that. This can only be done by a big project like Wonderland, because let's face it, it's got a huge treasury, so you can afford to pay all these specialists to be on board. A brand new project comes on, they can't have this many specialists, under. These people aren't going to do this for free, right? They're going to get coins out of the treasury for their services. So big treasury allows for multiple people to be paid. Brand new project, tiny treasury, you can't be paying 15 different people to do 15 different roles, but that is the benefit of Wonderland being so big. And then this one, again, green, I don't agree with this, but the rage quit option. I don't think you can have it both ways. If Wonderland's been voted to stay open, then it stays open. If you don't want to be part of the project, you can sell your coins. There's an open market for them. So I don't agree. He's saying give people the right to rage quit, which is, I don't like how Wonderland is being handled now. I want out, but I want out at the backing price of $36,000, not the present price of whatever it is. Actually, let's look at it right now. So Wonderland right now, it was much higher today. It got up to 31,000. Is right now 27,200 and change. And if we go to the Wonderland dashboard, you see the backing price right here has gone up to 37,555. This was as low as like 36. So its treasury's gotten bigger while we haven't really been doing anything with it. It's just been growing on its own. This is still showing 81,000 because Time coin is still there, even though nobody has Time anymore. Everybody switched over to wMEMO. But this is misleading that this is still saying it's paying 81,000 because it's not a rebase DAO anymore. So we're going to go back to the thing, but first a quick shout out to my video sponsor, Rabbit. If you need a Bitcoin wallet that is private and secure, this could be the perfect option for you. Rabbit lets you create non-custodial Bitcoin wallets in less than a minute. No need to give your email, phone number, or any sort of KYC. They are completely focused on privacy and have set up shop in Switzerland, and their code is open source. It's also your coins and your keys, so you don't need to worry about handing them over when you're using an exchange like Coinbase, BitPay, or Cash App. You always hear about exchanges getting hacked, and you got to worry about, well, if your coins are with them, are you going to lose money? Imagine a world where you can buy your Bitcoin faster than you can set up a Netflix subscription, while always keeping it safe and secure. So to recap, Rabbit is a fast and user-friendly way to get Bitcoin. It's non-custodial, privacy-preserving because you require no KYC or information to be exchanged, and it allows you to keep full control of your coins and your keys at all times. So if that's something you're interested in, check out rabbit.io on the screen right now, and it is in the video description. And thank you to Rabbit for being the sponsor of this video. Okay, back to the rage quit. I just don't agree you should be able to cash out and take treasury with you, especially at backing. When we've got 37,000 as the backing and the price is 27, it's $10,000 difference. So the people who voted to stay in won. So the people who don't want to stay in can do two things. They can stay in and hope that everything gets back to backing, or they can sell their coins now in the open market. It's their choice. Nobody's forcing them to stay in, but I also don't think that people who are rage quitting should get, full treasury value. So I don't agree with that. That's why it's in green. This one, monthly audits, Treasury Dashboard. I agree and I don't agree. I love this dashboard. Let's break it down. So that part down here about a Treasury Dashboard. Monthly audits, just not doable. Just not in the crypto world. Audits take a long time. And you can't have one every month. It's just, I see an audit to be done now that everything's happened with Saifu and all that. Yes, sure, do an audit. But to do one every month, that's expensive. It's probably not doable to only have, by the time the month's over, you get your audit and there's already time to do another audit. It's too much. So maybe a yearly audit, or maybe one now, and then we'll decide if we need one down the road if a bunch of changes have happened in Wonderland, but not monthly. The Treasury Dashboard, love this idea. You can go somewhere, you can see everything, divide the dashboard into tiers, including assets, liquidity pools, farming strategies, VCs. I get it. Totally good. More transparency, the better, especially now that there's this bit of taint on Wonderland with what did Saifu do? Sure, all the money is there. What are we making profits in? What are we not? Maybe we've got some in parts of our treasury that aren't really doing well and we're not even aware of it. So yeah, I love that idea of getting a treasury dashboard where you can just click on it, see what we own up to the moment. I mean, that's the great thing about blockchain. Everything is up to the second. We know exactly what we have and we know what rewards we still have to claim and whatnot. So that'd be great. Backing price. This is something I don't think everybody understands. The backing price you see on Wonderland that I just showed you, the 37,555 or whatever it is, includes some Wonderland tokens. Like, let's face it, liquidity pool tokens that have half Wonderland token and half, Avalanche or something else. It's half the coin for Wonderland. So he's just saying, is it really believable to say that the backing is really the backing? If something horrendously bad, a real black swan event happened with Wonderland, and the price of Wonderland coins fell, then of course the backing price would fall at the same time because part of the treasury is its own coin. So he's pretty much saying the backing should pretty much be anything except for native tokens of Wonderland. So you'd have to come up with a total treasury value backing price and then kind of like the conservative backing price, which is something that's everything excluding Wonderland. Now, is it fair to take all of the Wonderland coins and just give them like a zero value? No, I don't think that's fair either. But at least if you said this is sort of the risk-free backing, and then this is the total backing, people would be able to determine what do they want to use as their real backing value. No leverage. I agree with this. We saw, even before the Saifu news came out, we saw Wonderland at one point have a flash crash. What happens is on Abracadabra, you can take wMEMO and use it as collateral to borrow other things. But there's nothing hedge funds love to do more than to see people are too leveraged with wMEMO and say, hey, with $500,000, we could just sell this thing, crash it through everybody's leveraged call number, force a bunch of liquidations, buy up those liquidations. They get the extra fee for buying the liquidations. The exchange gets the fees for liquidating people. Everybody's making money except for the people that got liquidated. So he's just saying stop with allowing wMEMO or whatever coin we end up using as being a leverageable product that you can put in Abracadabra as collateral, because all you're doing is setting yourself up for a liquidity event, which causes a crash in price and kind of freaks people out. And then people lose confidence in the whole project. You can get a lot, he talks a lot about that. You can get that in a second. So he's saying no more wMEMO leverage on Abracadabra. Oh, this part I agree too. No bailout for people who were liquidated with the treasury. So what happened was there was that flash crash liquidation event prior to the Saifu news. And some people got liquidated and lost all their wMEMO. And then the Saifu news came out like a week later, or less than a week later. And then it crashed again because of that news. And a lot of people boo-hooed on the Discord that I lost on my wMEMO, and that's not fair because of all this bad news. And Dani, you said that the backing price would be kind of supported. But when the whole Saifu news came out, everything got put on hold. The whole Treasury was like, nothing's going to happen until we figure out what we're doing here. So, of course, the price fell below Treasury, below Treasury backing. And now people are saying, I want to get paid out for the money I lost. He doesn't agree. This professor doesn't agree. I don't agree as well. If you get a tomb fork or tomb, it's supposed to be pegged to Phantom. But it's all based on the faith of the group that's following it that it'll stay pegged. The way these tomb forks work is you've got to buy bonds in order to prop the price up if it ever falls below the peg price. So there's no guarantees of anything in cryptocurrencies. If somebody chooses to do 3x, 4x, 5 times leverage, they're doing that to try and exponentially increase their returns if things go up. If things go down and you lose your shirt, that's on you. You took the risk. You got to take the lumps when it doesn't work out. And I know people will say, well, the backing was supposed to be supported. Nothing is guaranteed in this world. So them saying, well, the backing is where we will start to buy some coins to support it, doesn't mean you can therefore leverage the farm. Just put everything you have into Wonderland and leverage 5x and then say, I'm guaranteed to make money. Because if it had worked out for them and it had gone up, were they going to give some of that extra winnings they got back to the group who owns Wonderland? No. So when you lose your shirt by leveraging, you can't come to Wonderland and all the people who still are in it who never leveraged and go, you got to pay us because we screwed up and leveraged and we thought that the backing was like a floor, that it couldn't go below that. And I just don't agree. And neither does this guy. Why should the Treasury buy you out for your mistakes? So sorry if you're out there and you got leveraged or liquidated, then sorry if you don't like what I'm saying, but it is what it is. You took the risk. You got to take the lumps if it doesn't work out. The merger. So he's talking about the merger that Dani had mentioned with Abracadabra. Again, I think now that's going to be put kind of on hold. He's saying right now, because of all the turmoil, let's just keep everything separate. Not being merged doesn't mean that Wonderland can't still use Abracadabra. I mean, they get first dibs on all that DeFi degen, where the stable coins, the MEMO coins can be used and as collateral. And if you know what I mean, you know what I mean. If you don't, well, they get first dibs on that because that money runs out quick. The MEMO shows up and everybody sucks it up to do this degen DeFi box. It goes away instantly and there's no more money and nobody else can do it. Wonderland always gets first dibs because they're kind of like the brother of Abracadabra. So them merging or not merging won't stop them from being first in line to get the benefits of all those services. So he's just saying keep it separate for now. But he says right at the very top, all the synergies of Abracadabra and Popsicle and Sushi Swap and all that being together maybe makes sense if it all ends up being under one umbrella. But it's sort of under one umbrella right now. There's just multiple coins. I know Dani's point is if we're going to end up taking our treasury and constantly putting it in Abracadabra, why don't we just merge with Abracadabra so Abracadabra controls our treasury when we're all one big happy family. Plus, like I said, the Spell coin is already listed on Coinbase and Binance and big exchanges, and the wMEMO coin and the Time coin are not. So there would be some benefit to the value of Wonderland and Abracadabra if we had it all under one coin that's already listed. Education and support. He's just saying a company of this size, $500 million value, should have an education portion of their website where you click on it, and if you're trying to learn about whatever is going on in Wonderland, you go there and there should be easy to understand like tutorial videos. He's just saying pay somebody, some video producing company on retainer to make videos for educational purposes. I think that's a nice to have. I don't think that's a must have, but yeah, I agree. It should be there if for no other reason that Wonderland's very big and they can afford it. Beware of sharks. So this is just talking about some of the weird stuff that happened when news came out that, Saifu was probably getting punted and that there was a 70% yes vote to shut down Wonderland. All the sharks, before this news was really even public, bought up the coin, and you see these unnatural spikes up, and then the news comes out that there's a proposal to close everything down and pay everybody out at the backing price. Well, the sharks, the insiders, know first, and he's even talking about there's somebody who's an insider who has 12,000 time coins, and he voted to close it down. And if you look at the wallet that's listed here, that wallet was buying time, the Wonderland coin, on day one, and big volumes of it. So this is an insider. This is either a developer or a money backer or a VC or somebody who was in on day one who bought up a crap ton of these coins to vote for it to be closed so that he could make a quick profit, which is kind of, ugh. So he's calling them sharks. They are whales in terms of they have a lot of money. So we always call whales people that have a lot of crypto, but they're more sharks because they're not just big investors. They're kind of always looking for that angle that they can get a quick profit and then flip to another project and get a quick profit, and, you know, real sharks. So the conclusion, transition to one token protocol. Yeah, so that's the get rid of the wMEMO, just come out with a new coin or merge with Abracadabra and use the spell coin. Kill the APY down to 0. I don't agree with holding for 30 days, but I do agree with the APY shouldn't be 0. It should be a profit sharing coin. So you don't know what you're going to get. You invest in Wonderland and you get whatever percent of the profits come to you every day, week, or month, or whatever it works out to be. Restructuring lots of different positions, not just Dani at the head and then this Saifu guy running the treasury and that's it. A lot more people involved to make sure everything is above board. Allow rage quitting. I don't agree. I don't think people should just be allowed to say, I want my money and I want it now and I want it at backing price. I just don't think that's fair to the people that are staying in it. And the vote was to stay going. So the rage quit people, sorry, you lost the vote. This one, I don't remember reading it in here, but he says, get a robot technology to prevent bots from gaming the system and also get our own bot for buybacks to protect the backing price. But yeah, I don't remember reading that in the article, but in his summary, that was one of the things he mentioned. Create a clean Treasury Dashboard to show all assets, current things. Yep, agree, totally. Abolish all leverage. Yep, agree, totally. That's a whole don't let wMEMO be something you can use as collateral in Abracadabra. And create an educational platform. And again, I think that's a nice to have. So yeah, I really, really like what this professor had to say. I was kind of surprised on the AMA when Daniel was actually quoting that he's looking at the professor's article and taking a lot of good information from it and things that he might implement in the future. Again, he's already admitted that he is kind of burned out and he wants to just kind of help the project, but doesn't want to be in charge of everything. So that's kind of going along with what he's saying about hiring all these specialists to take over specific areas of Wonderland. So Wonderland does have a future, in my opinion. It is questionable whether it's going to run as its own separate entity or if it's going to eventually merge with Abracadabra. Talking to some people in Abracadabra are like, I don't want to merge with Wonderland. There's too much stink on it right now. But I think if time goes by, people tend to forget that thing. And if Wonderland starts giving people a daily return coin and says, hey, and Daniel comes out on an AMA or puts forward a proposal saying, if we merge with Abracadabra, here's what we will give you, the Abracadabra stakeholders. You're going to have our $800 million treasury, which means you're going to make so much more money in fees and transactions and all this stuff. So you as an Abracadabra holder will gain as well, maybe even more so than the Wonderland holders. So if he can sell it the right way, it'll all come down to a vote. I say this to other people that say, oh, Abracadabra people won't go for it. I say, well, if they get a good proposal going forward and a lot of these big money backers go, yeah, I like the merge idea. I think there's more money to be made there. It will all come down to a vote. So people on Discord who are kind of bitching and moaning, a lot of times those aren't the big whales. Big whales don't have time to be on Discord writing their angry comments. Those are the small investors in there. The big investors are at boardroom meetings talking about this. Maybe they have direct contact with the people running Popsicle and Sushi Swap and Abracadabra and Wonderland. And they sit in a boardroom and go, yeah, no, this makes sense. Let's do it. And they have so many votes combined that it really doesn't matter what the little minnows in the group say in Discord. It could end up being a merge happens anyway because the big money thinks that that's the smartest move. So yeah, be prepared either way. We might end up having Wonderland as its own entity for a lot longer. Or we may end up being part of Abracadabra and or other companies as well. So it's a very interesting time to be an investor in Wonderland. I'm really looking forward to the future. I think there's a lot of good synergies that I see that could easily be implemented. And yeah, I want to be an owner of a hedge fund. Where else can you be that? Be a voting member of a hedge fund. Yeah, very interesting. So hopefully you've enjoyed this episode. If so, show the channel some love by giving it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that bell notification so you know the minute one of these new episodes comes out. And until next time, this is Craig signing off, wishing you happiness, health, and wealth in that order. Ciao for now.